Hello, today I want to talk about the cycle tracking apps that are available out there and some key points that you need to consider when using these cycle tracking apps. So first and foremost, there are so many different options out there. I do recommend trying a few out, seeing which ones you find user-friendly, which ones have the features that you're actually interested in, logging that information. Yeah, just see which one works for you, try a couple out, and then go from there. Some key features I would recommend having within the app, whether or not you're trying to use it to avoid pregnancy or to get pregnant, you're going to want the fertile window feature. A nice addition to that is having the ability to track basal body temperature, and some of the apps actually allow you to track the temperature and then it spits it out in a nice graph for you. Good visual. Tracking cervical mucus, or being able to log those changes, and then any other PMS symptoms. So you're going to want to be logging any skin changes, mood changes, breast tenderness, bloating, even bowel movements are going to be important there. So yeah, try them out, find one that you actually like. So these apps work based on an algorithm. So based on information that you're plugging in the previous few cycles, it's going to start to predict what's happening, when your period's coming, when you ovulate, based on ovulation, when your fertile window is. It's pretty slick and handy that way. That being said though, your body doesn't work as an algorithm all the time. Yes, it can get pretty bang on if you're very regular. There is slight variability between cycle to cycle though that we need to consider. And the app isn't going to know that those changes are happening till after it's happened, after you've logged information from that cycle, and it'll readjust. For example, if your ovulation is delayed by a couple days, you don't log that you ovulated till, say, the 17th cycle day as opposed to the 15th, it's going to shift your fertile window after you log that information, which may or may not mess up what you've done previously if you were solely relying on the predicted fertile window. That's just an example. So on top of using this app, I do love them. I think they're so useful as far as tracking information, gathering information. I have patients use it all the time to be able to just jot down quickly in their phones and then bring it to an appointment, and we just have this list of hormonal occurrences in the body. That being said though, you need to be listening to your body. You need to be physically tracking what's going on cycle to cycle to pinpoint specifically when ovulation is and when that fertile window is, in order to prevent pregnancy or to get pregnant. So those changes being, you need to be watching cervical mucus changes. You need to be tracking your temperature to assess the spike. You can be assessing using LH strips to assess for that surge. Ovulation is going to happen the next day. So those are all specific things you can be doing cycle to cycle to, I mean, yes, you plug in that information, but you're not just solely relying on an algorithm that may or may not be correct or as accurate as it should be that month. Yeah, just because if you are using it to prevent pregnancy, you're going based on this algorithm's fertile window prediction. Yes, it's giving you a rough estimate. But in order to practice fertility awareness-based methods of contraception, you need to be watching for those cervical mucus changes for when your fertile window is opening. And that may change cycle to cycle. And then on the flip side, if you are using it to try and get pregnant, you need to be, again, watching for those cervical mucus changes to know when your fertile is open to begin trying to have, having intercourse to try and conceive, and then honing in on your ovulation day, because if you're just going based off of what the algorithm thinks your ovulation day is, it might be right, it very well may be, but it might not be. And I would hate for you to miss it just because you're solely relying on what the algorithm's saying. So I'm not hating on cycle tracking apps, I do love them, they're a very useful tool, I use them all the time with my patients in practice. But my emphasis today is you need to be, on top of just using the app, you need to be listening to your body.